Good morning. This is the day we have been given. A little drippy, but let us use it with wisdom and compassion for those that we encounter today. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland. I'm Pat Solomon, a worship associate at UUCC. We especially welcome any guests who are visiting for the first time, either here physically or joining us in the cyber world. Let me tell you a bit about our congregation and our faith. Unitarian Universalism has no shared creed, and our individual beliefs are diverse and inclusive. We affirm and promote 7 principles found on the wall to my left and in the hymnal. They are grounded in humanistic teachings and the world's religions. Our services seek to create connections with others and within, enrich our spiritual values, and represent our calling to live lives of equity and compassion. We are a welcoming congregation, and you are welcome here to be your whole selves. If you're interested in more information, we invite you to fill out one of the guest cards in front of you in the pew rack, and so that we may reach out to you and answer any questions you might have. And for more information, or if you're watching from an internet platform, you can go to our website at uucleveland.org. A little housekeeping. On the back of the order of service is a QR code, and it will take you to our contact tracing form. Please take a minute before you leave today to fill out the form. It only takes a few minutes. You can also access it via the bit.ly link on your computer when you get home. Lighting our chalice today is Barbie Jones, a member of the stewardship team, and a newly elected board member. Please join in the reading found on the yellow card in your pew rack. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
We are called to worship today by the words of Reverend Marta Valentin. We come together today to honor the universal community of seekers to which we all belong. We gather together today to share from our deepest place of safety, that we might nurture ourselves by celebrating one another. We call into our presence this hour our ancestors, whose love, labor, and commitment made it possible for us to be here now. Let us call one another to the table of abundance, that we may feed on those fruits that sustain us and ever ask us to grow. Let us be open to this moment with hearts that have no borders. In just a moment, we're going to sing together, and the hymn number and the name of the hymn are in your order of service, but we're going to take just a moment to greet one another. Please be mindful of the colored dots on folks' name tags. I know we're masking today, but you can still wave and say hello, especially if there's somebody whose face from like here up you don't recognize. Be sure to greet them this morning. Let's sing together number 360, Here We Have Gathered. Now is the time in our service where we share our joys and concerns with one another. If you're joining us online, I invite you to put any joys or concerns you'd like to share with the community in the comments below. Our first joy that we are celebrating today is that Lori Albright has retired after 47 years as a school psychologist. Do you want to stand up so folks can celebrate you? Lori has helped hundreds of children and families in northeastern Ohio. She worked at the Positive Education Program Early Intervention Center for 36 years and has been a special education supervisor in the East Cleveland schools for the past 11 years. She has been actively involved in state professional associations and is past president of the Cleveland Academy of School Psychologists. Lori is a mentor, a model of professional achievement and integrity, and no doubt will continue to advocate for the causes she holds dear. We celebrate you on this threshold, Lori, your retirement, your accomplishments, and all of the things that are yet ahead of you. We also place a stone today for peace and healing for those receiving challenging medical diagnoses this week, and for their families who love and support them. And a stone for safe travels and incredible memories for those families vacationing this week. And I remind you that the book is here each week if there are joys or concerns that you would like to write down in advance of the service so that they can be shared with the community. And I'm hopeful that you'll continue to share your joys and concerns with one another afterward. But I invite you forward now to place a stone in the water for any joy or concern you'd like to acknowledge that you carry with you today. We also place a stone of gratitude for Ella, Avanish, Julia, and India for the beautiful music they share with us this morning. And a stone for all of those joys and concerns that have been shared online today. And one final stone for those things that may be on our hearts but haven't yet found a way to be expressed.
This reading is called I Choose You, I Am Here. And it was found by Randy, and it's by Emma Merchant. I have never been particularly attached to the idea of family. You know, the Swiss Family Robinson? It's the story of how a family worked together and survived. It never reached me beyond a story for me. It never occurred to me that some people actually felt this way towards the bloodline, that the lineage was sacred. To me, it always seemed that blood could be spilled. I have always felt that when people identify family as something important and universal, what they are truly addressing is unconditional love. This is not to say that I hate the idea of family, but I've always been more enchanted by the idea of chosen family. The thought that we are each making a choice to be here in this family, in this community, is powerful. We have actively chosen to come and be here. I'm not stuck with you because you're my cousin and I'm not allowed to be rude. I could leave if I wanted to, but I don't, because of the way we have each nurtured this community. I choose to be stuck with you, for better or for worse. And we have continuously made this choice over and over again. Every time we attend worship, every time we donate our time and energy, every time we clasp hands in meditation is a promise. I am here for you. The DNA of this community may be metaphorical, but it exists within me. The words covenant and right relation are second in nature, placed on my tongue almost since birth. But they are words that I have chosen to bring into my life. My heart beats with the blood of this church, pounding out, I choose you. I am here. This is a safe space, a place of learning, a place of compassion, a place created by the very idea of love. We chose to build a sanctuary because we chose to be together. There is no use for a church of people who hate each other or a church of ghosts. We make the choice to stay stuck together even when we don't even want to be in the same room. But we always come back to the table because we choose to be together. Through thick and thin, we have chosen love. And in hard times, struggling times, times that we face every day, we come together even closer. We make the choice to listen to each other. We make the choice to pick each other up. And we make the choice to love each other. We have built this community with our commitment to that love. We all have many different reasons for being here, but I like to think that we all have one common reason for being here: love. Over everything else, we are here because we are the people who choose love. We do not have a bloodline, but we have a deep, unconditional love that runs through us all. We choose that love. We choose each other. Our hearts echo, I choose you. I am here. I am here. I am here.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding me. I rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
Each Sunday, we donate the offertory collection to a worthy organization. Today's recipient is the Adoption Network of Cleveland. It was founded in 1988 by Betsy Norris, who grew up in this church and is still a member of the congregation. She is an adoptee who successfully searched for her birth parents in her 20s. After recognizing the unmet needs of adoptees, birth parents, and adoptive parents in Ohio, she desired to build a community to support people impacted by adoption and foster care. For over 30 years, Adoption Network Cleveland has created a safe place to empower people to have a voice and get their needs met. While adoption was once seen as a simple legal event, this organization has promoted the understanding that it is a lifelong journey that continues to impact individuals differently as they grow older. Core programs and services include the helpline, general discussion meetings, professional training, search assistant, a newsletter, pre- and post-permanency support, and educational opportunities, advocacy, and systems change. The organization promotes community awareness and social change by advocating for progressive policies in adoption and child welfare practice. You are welcome to present your offering by putting it in the collection plate that's passed, but if you wish, you're also encouraged to give by way of our Cash App handle, which is printed in your order of service.
Do you want to show some appreciation for our quartet? See, I could sense it, but we don't normally clap after the offering music, so it feels weird, right? But we can do that. We can appreciate people. One of the things that I appreciate about you all is that when there are needs in the community, you respond to them. And so I would just want to let you know about the letter of gratitude that we received from the Shaker Heights Hunger Center, who were extremely grateful for our generous donation of food and dry goods that will help fill numerous bags with food for months to come. So you are making a difference in the community with the things that you do financially and with the other gifts that you give. And in that spirit, I invite you to read along with the acceptance of gifts, which is on the yellow pew card. We offer these gifts with gratitude, and we acknowledge the constant gifts of time, talent, and treasure that strengthen and nourish this congregation as a reflection of our commitment to community within and without, our purposeful spirituality that is ever searching and growing, and our intentional actions that lead to greater justice in our congregation, our city, our nation, and our world. One of the interesting things about playing in a musical ensemble is that you really learn how to communicate. And you also learn what it means to trust one another. And the reason you can trust one another in a performance is because you've rehearsed well enough that you know what to expect from each other. You've practiced trusting. And then when you get to the performance, then you have that trust built in. So we're going to see if I have been practicing well enough with you today, because I wonder if you trust me enough to eat dirt. Let me tell you, this is really delicious dirt. Do you trust me anymore now if I tell you that it's delicious? This is the most delicious dirt you'll ever taste. Do you trust me enough to eat dirt? Not so sure, not so sure. Okay, that's all right, that's all right. You know what? Did somebody raise their hand? Do you trust me enough to eat dirt back there? Oh, you're shrugging. You know what? Let me do this. Let me do this. I'll go first. That's one of the ways that you build trust. If you're asking somebody to do something, you do what you're asking them to do. So I'm going to take a little bit of this organic. That's delicious. It's so good. We're using these little spoons so the regathering team doesn't get mad at me for people picking at the dirt with their fingers, but we still have to throw our own spoons away. You trust me now? You want some dirt? You can have some. No? Not interested. Maybe somebody else. Maybe if somebody else trusts me enough, then it'll set an example. Oh, right here. I saw hands shoot up all over the place. Take a little spoon. Take a bit of this dirt. This is gluten-free dirt. What do you think? It's tasty. Oh, I got a smile. I saw another hand back here. Okay, so Cliff, take a little spoon. You get your own individual spoon. Taste some of that dirt. See what you think. Are you glad you trusted me? Okay, so now I've got a couple of other relationships. People have followed. They've said, oh, I trust Randy. I'm going to eat some dirt. And now you see the evidence. I might be trustworthy. If I'm trustworthy in these other relationships, maybe you can trust me. Take a taste. See what you think. Uh-oh, we lost a little bit on the ground. What do you think? Are you glad you trusted me? I'm trustworthy. All right, somebody's decided they're going to be enthusiastic here.
Hey, I'm a geologist. I eat rocks.
You're a geologist. This might disappoint you. What do you think? It's amazing how dirt-like crumbled up Oreos look. So one of the things that I'll just put these up here. One of the things that I have been doing intentionally this year is aiming to cultivate trust. not just so I could get you to eat dirt, but because I think it's an important basis of a relationship between minister and congregation, and it's a difficult thing to measure. How do you measure how well somebody trusts you? You could ask them to eat dirt, but you can also maybe do some intentional behaviors, and through those intentional behaviors, maybe you can measure how well you are building trust. So I found this amazing acronym by Brené Brown. I don't know how many of you follow her work, but I shared this with the Committee on Ministry and with the board, but I haven't shared it very widely, and I thought today of all days, it would be a good day to let you know what I've been up to and to see how well I've been doing. The acronym that she uses is BRAVING, B-R-A-V-I-N-G, BRAVING. And I'm not going to go into as much detail as she does, but here are the ways that I have been measuring what I'm doing over the last several months. The B stands for boundaries, setting boundaries, making it clear what's okay and what's not okay and why. I struggle with this. I've done pretty well, not 100%, but hopefully you have seen evidence of me setting some boundaries. I was chastised last night by somebody that you'll hear this afternoon at my installation service because I have not been taking the time off that I have said I would take off over the last month. So we're switching that. I'm setting that boundary, resetting that boundary, because I know that if a boundary gets crossed, it's okay. We just redefine it and move forward with better clarity. So if there are some boundaries that we need to redefine, that's all right. We can do that. And then we can say, here's where that line actually needs to be. And then we move forward with trust. The R of braving stands for reliability, which I use another word for that sometimes, integrity. You do what you say you're going to do in the way that it's meant to be done. You're reliable. If I say I'm going to show up for coffee at 9 o'clock, I don't show up at 9:05. To me, that's what it means to be reliable. Some of you, it's fine if you show up at 9:05. I'm not speaking bad about you. But I try to be where I say I'm going to be, do what I say I'm going to do, the way that I say I'm going to do it. If I fall down on that, then I've broken trust with you. And so I need that feedback to say, Randy, you weren't reliable in this way. And then I can correct it and say, oh my goodness, you're right. I want to be in alignment with this goal of building trust. The A of braving, so boundaries, reliability, accountability, which is what I just said, so that I own my mistakes. If you let me know you missed the mark here, Randy, then I can say, okay, I get it, rather than say, oh, well, that's because what happened was, this other thing got in the way and I can make excuses. No. Accountability is I own when I have missed the mark and I make amends, hopefully. The V of braving stands for vault, which is another way of saying confidentiality. I don't share things that aren't meant to be shared. I don't tell other people's stories. The I stands for integrity, which, as Brené Brown puts it, is choosing courage over comfort, choosing what's right over what's fun, fast, or easy, and practicing your values, not just professing them. Integrity. Non-judgment. I can ask for what I need, and you can ask for what you need, and they don't have to be the same thing. We can talk about how we feel without judgment. And generosity, which is extending the most generous interpretation to people's intentions and words and actions. So I try to be very generous and not make assumptions that lead to worst-case scenarios about who somebody is or what they might have meant in that particular situation. Braving, boundaries, reliability, accountability, vault, integrity, non-judgment, and generosity. Some of those words Brené Brown chooses because they make an acronym. But the concepts of them hopefully lead to trust. That's my hope. If there's something missing from that, and you say, what we need in this relationship of trust is something that's not on that list, let me know. I would love to know about that. But one of the things that I love about Unitarian Universalism as a faith tradition is that we are a covenantal tradition. And to me, covenants build trust. When you know what you can expect from one another, it's easier to trust. And it's easier when things go off the rails, it's easier to come back together and know where to line up with things. If you look at a piece of music for a string quartet, a lot of times there will be these letters in boxes over different measures, and they're kind of in weird places. All composers didn't put them in there. Sometimes the editor puts those letters in the boxes over the music, so you can say, we're at rehearsal letter C, because rehearsal letter C happens to be a place where the group can line back up again if they need to. It's a good place to start if you need to go over a section, and it's a place where they can kind of catch each other if something goes a little off the rails. Nothing ever goes off the rails with this quartet, but in some groups, that happens. And so a covenant is kind of like that. It says, okay, here's the marker where we can come back together if things go a little bit awry. Sometimes, without a covenant, we play games and we play these transactional kinds of relationships, and we manipulate other people into giving us what we want and need, and we try to figure out, who do I need to be in order to get you to give me what I want in this relationship? And it becomes this strategic kind of thing. Covenants are not strategic. Covenants put all of that aside and say, we do not need to pretend to be anything other than who we are. We're going to make these promises mutually on common ground, and that's what we're going to call each other back into if we don't get what we need and what we want. We're going to be talking about covenant a lot over the next year, because we're going to be looking at a congregational covenant. What promises do you want to make to one another? It's kind of a way of saying, what does it mean for us to adopt one another as chosen family? We all have various relationships with our blood relatives, but when we think about this community and this chosen family, a covenant is a way of saying, here's what will help this chosen family work. Here's what will help this chosen family be a place that feels like home. Here's what I commit to do in this community in order to embrace and adopt all of you wild, wacky people. That's what a covenant is. It's a way of saying, here's our adoption protocols for one another. Not that we are all like-minded necessarily, because we're not. I know that's a big secret. We don't talk about that. Not that we are all like-minded, but that we are kindred. We're kindred spirits. We accept one another in kinship that goes beyond thinking alike or believing alike, and says we adopt one another. An inclusive, multicultural family, chosen family. And I'm talking about all this today because if you are around for the installation service at 3 p.m. this afternoon with reception to follow, the installation piece of that, like the centerpiece of that service, where you say, we embrace you as our minister and I embrace you as my congregation, there's a covenant there. That's a covenantal statement. You all have not seen that covenant. And so I want to tell you, first and foremost, this is not your congregational covenant with one another. This is our covenant between me and you all. And if there's some piece of it that doesn't work for you, I recognize you have not had a chance to vet it. So I want to tell you what you're going to maybe commit to, but what I am certainly going to commit to you, so that you have that information in advance. I don't want anybody caught off guard, throwing their worship order of service down and storming out the door in the middle of the ceremony. None of that, okay? So here's what I'm going to give my word to as minister. I'm going to give my word to leading worship and creating rituals that help give shape to the events of our lives, which is why if Lori Albright comes to me later on and says, I really would like a ritual to celebrate this threshold of crossing, that's something that I've committed to do. She might not do that. Some people don't want to do that kind of thing. But it might be all together in worship. It might be in smaller groups. There are ways that I give my word to helping shape the movement of our lives together and make them spiritually meaningful. I give my word to care for you in times of need and celebrate your joys with you. I am floored by the number of you who appreciate a 15-minute phone call, and it is something I love to do. If I know that there's a reason to reach out, it is my delight to connect with people. And so do not ever feel like you are bothering me to let me know about something that is going on in your life. I give my word to care for you in times of need and celebrate your joys with you. I have to know about them, but I give my word to care for you and to celebrate your joys with you. I give my word to accept your shortcomings, those of you that have them, to offer gentle guidance and listen with love. I think that's what a minister should do, but I'm going to say it outright. I give my word to accept your shortcomings, offer gentle guidance, and listen with love. I give my word to teach and learn with you, young people, adults, and elders alike. I do not have all the answers. I might teach you some things, you might teach me some things, and we can learn alongside one another. I give my word to support your works of justice and compassion, empowering you to take the teachings of our faith beyond these walls. I will not be able to do all of the things that you all are able to do. I will do some of them right alongside you, but even the ones that I am not able to do right alongside you, I want to empower you to be able to live this amazing faith tradition out in the world. I give my word to speak the truth in love, challenging and inspiring our community to build a better world. If I ever speak the truth and it is not particularly loving, you have permission to let me know, and I will let you know. I give my word to remember the vision of beloved community that we all share and serve it with heart, soul, and might. That's the covenantal part that I'm going to be doing this afternoon. If you have concerns about any of that, or you think there is some definition of minister that is not included in those words, let me know. Because this was originated from some other Unitarian Universalist sources, and it was talked about in some small groups and with the board, but you all haven't had a chance to think about what that means. So let me know if there's a piece of what it means to be a minister that's missing from that. You'll have it in print this afternoon. Here's the sticky wicket, though. Covenants are two-way. They're not just one person to another. They're mutual. So here's what you're going to give your word to this afternoon if you're willing. As a congregation, we give our word to work with you, our minister, to create meaningful worship and rituals. You have to bring it if we want these experiences to be meaningful. As a congregation, we give our word to care for one another in times of need and to celebrate one another's joys. That's what it means to be adopted family. As a congregation, we give our word, did we keep this in here? As a congregation, we give our word to accept one another's shortcomings, to offer one another gentle guidance, and to listen to each other with love. As a congregation, we give our word to teach and learn with you, our minister, remembering that we are all learning all the time. Some of our committees say that frequently, but I don't know if we all know that. We are all learning all the time. As a congregation, we give our word to grow toward justice and act with compassion, taking the teachings of our faith beyond these walls. As a congregation, that's what you want to give your word to this afternoon, I hope. As a congregation, we give our word to speak the truth in love, challenging and inspiring all of us to build a better world. And as a congregation, we give our word to bring our authentic selves vulnerably into the beloved community we co-create together. Like what Pat said at the beginning of the service, all of who you are is welcome here, but it's up to you to bring all of who you are into this relationship. Hopefully, with a willingness to be adopted as much as you are willing to adopt one another. So that you say, this is who I am. I want to be in family with you. I want to be in chosen family relationship with you. Can we be family? You don't have to give your word to all of that. Like I said, it's a choice. It's not a mandate. You can. I hope you do. And if there's some pieces of it that are problematic to you, I hope we have a chance to talk about it in the months ahead, the weeks ahead, this week if you got time. But I didn't want you to be surprised. Because if there's anything that I really believe, it's that when we take our covenants seriously and when we let them be what we need them to be to define our relationships, we have a place where we can create brave space for one another, like that acronym, BRAVING, We say safe space a lot, but there's very few spaces that are really safe for everybody. But if we take our covenants seriously, we can create brave space for one another to step up and embrace one another as chosen family and call one another back in if something goes a little sideways and say, okay, this is the promise that we made, and I feel like something is off here. What's going on? How do we need to draw back together into this sacred kinship? It helps us trust. In my experience, a covenant helps us trust. So if you didn't trust me enough today to eat dirt, maybe as time goes by, we will find those things that will build trust, not just between me and you, but between all of us together as a community of faith. May we have the courage and the vulnerability to do so. We're going to sing a song now. It's in your order of service. It's not from the hymnal, but it is a description of what that kind of sacred kinship, that chosen family, might look like if we are willing to take it seriously.
And would you please stand as willing and able and sing with me? Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me. The stream sings it to the river sings it to the sea sings it to the boat that carries you and me. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me. The boat we are sailing on was built by many hands. The sea we are sailing on touches many lands. Somos el barco, somos el mar, tú navegas en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me. The voyage has been long and hard, and yet we're sailing still, with a song to help us pull together if we only will. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me. So hopes we raise the sails to face the winds once more. And with our hearts we charge the waters never sailed before. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me.
As you noticed with our pandemic responses, we are ever shifting, and the blue X's are off most of the pews so that you can make a decision for yourself how close you want to be to one another. I hope that you do set the boundaries that you're comfortable with and say, I would really prefer to have a little distance today. You have the authority to define your space. So that's the protocols that we have in place. Masking is required indoors for now as long as we're in the red zone. As the COVID numbers drop, then we hope to make masks optional again, so nothing is forever like the Buddhists teach us. We do hope to have coffee hour outside if the weather's nice enough for it so that we can still visit with one another today. We will not be gathering and drinking coffee in the fellowship hall because that would mean we'd have to take our masks off, and we are not taking our masks off in Sunday morning groups today. So I do have another couple of announcements, though. You know about the service this afternoon. It's at 3 o'clock. There's a reception to follow. Also, next Saturday from 10 to noon, we have Bio Blitz, which is a lovely event that is for families of all ages, and there will be childcare. It's from 10 to noon. Check your Thursday newsletter for all of the details about that. Your auction payments are due by June 12th. That's next Sunday. If you donated items that were not sold, you can pick them up this week. And please let Sharon know if you just want those items to go to the free cycle. Don't assume that she just knows that. We don't want to make any assumptions about where those items go. But you do have to pick them up. They don't live here. Free cycle is next Sunday also, June 12th. So that's why there's a deadline for letting folks know about things. If you would like a table at Free Cycle, let Sharon know about that too. Or if you're willing to volunteer for the event, that would be great. The 1:30 wrap-up time is when we can always use a few extra hands. So if you've got some extra time Sunday afternoon, many hands make lighter work. The flower ceremony is also next Sunday. I hope you're going to be here next Sunday. There's a lot going on. I just want to remind you to pick or purchase locally grown flowers if possible. We've become more and more aware of how the commercial flower industry creates injustice in Colombia, where a lot of the commercial flowers are grown, and so we do not want to support those human rights violations, and if possible, pick or procure local flowers for that event. We're going to do that on the East Lawn if weather permits, and there's going to be a picnic afterward hosted by Harry's Kitchen Crew. So I hope you are all able to be here next Sunday. With that, may we willingly and graciously adopt one another into sacred kinship and grow closer as a chosen family that lives our principles with integrity and grace. Go with peace and courage.
Before we extinguish our chalice, I just wanted to call your attention to the new art, which is on our walls. And I don't know anything about it. It may not even be new, but it was still being hung when I got here this morning. So wait for it. We'll find out more about it at some point. If you will join me in extinguishing the chalice on your card. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.